What's up, everybody? How's it going? Today I'm going to be showing you this pack that I worked far too long on, for Football Manager 2019. So, I'm sorry, this is just a hot mess. I don't know why there's two, but anyways, when you download it, it'll only just show up as one, and this is what it's going to be called: 7 Tiers of American Football with Promotion and Relegation. So, that's exactly what it is, really. We got MLS, and actually I'll show you more once we get to that screen. Here's something super important. You got to set it to 19.1. I know, I'm sorry, but you got to do that or else it's not going to work. By the way, for my YouTube series that I'm doing with this pack, I'm using some of these other things. Like I made this Campeones Cup, I made some changes to it. I made a Canada pack. If you want me to do a video on that, I can. It's not like too in-depth. I just basically threw all the Canadian teams into the Canadian Premier League. And then I kind of changed the Canadian Championship a little bit. But, you know, there's not like multiple tiers or anything. It's just the top tier and the cup and stuff. So if you want me to do a video on that, I will. Just let me know. And then I changed the Champions League a bit. I brought the group stage back and stuff. But I'm just going to be talking about this today because that's what the video is about. So here we go. Let's go ahead and do advanced setup. And I'll see you guys at the other side. Alright, so here we are. Now, as you can see, there are 7 tiers. We got Major League Soccer, just one conference, 22 teams. Again, the Canadian teams are out. They're in the Canadian League. But, you know, if you don't have the Canada pack, which I don't know if I'm going to put it on Steam. Again, if there's interest, I will. But if you don't have the Canada pack or something else that involves the Canadian League, they're just going to be kind of sitting there. Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, Ottawa, all the Canadian teams that play in the US, they'll just be kind of there. They'll have all their players and everything, but, you know, they won't have a league to be in unless you have some other pack that puts them in the Canadian League. But yeah, so we got Major League Soccer, 22 teams. We got the USL Championship, which is 2 conferences, East and West. League 1 is the same thing, East and West Conference. League 2 is also an East and West Conference, but then there's 2 groups within each conference. So this league is huge. You got 48 teams in each conference, and then they're split into 2 groups of 24, and we'll get more in depth, like who gets promoted, who gets relegated, stuff like that once we open the save, because then you can actually see it. Then we got the American Soccer League. This is a smaller league. It is 20 teams. So the American Soccer League and everything below it, these are semi-pro. Some of the teams are probably going to go pro even if they don't get promoted just because they have the money to do so. So this league is a smaller league compared to all of the other ones down here. These 2 are huge again, with 2 groups in 2 conferences. This league also has not 20 teams in total, but 20 teams per conference. But it's just one group. Yeah, let's just go ahead. So now we're just going to take a look at the teams in each league really quick. So to compensate for the loss of 3 Canadian teams, which would leave the league at 21, that's a really ugly number to have. So I threw in Inter Miami, even though they don't technically really exist yet. I mean, they're just kind of there. But yeah, so they aren't scheduled to start play for a couple more years, but I decided might as well throw them in because if they do ever actually come to be, then you can expect them to be a pretty significant force in MLS because there's a lot of money getting pumped into that team, and that's also the case in this. So we're going to talk about prize money and TV money in a bit. That's also going to be huge. So USL Championship, Eastern Conference. These are the teams we got. I took some creative liberties. Not all of the teams in these leagues are actually in these leagues in real life. Some of the teams don't even exist. Actually, a lot of the teams, once you get down here especially, don't even exist in real life. And also, like the ASL, for example, is not actually the 5th tier. There isn't really a definitive 5th tier at all. It is a real league, but it's more of a regional league. I just decided, hey, we're going to make it go national, and that's going to be the 5th tier. MPSL and UPSL are not the 6th and 7th tiers. They both exist, but I just kind of changed them a bit. So yeah, don't expect this to be 100% realistic. It's just meant to be enjoyable. So these are the teams we got. Bethlehem, Birmingham, Charleston, Charlotte, Chicago Municipal, which is like semi-real, but the logo isn't. That's just like the logo of Chicago. Indy 11, Jacksonville, Louisville, Miami, Milwaukee Robins. That's a fake team that I threw in because why not? Nashville, North Carolina, New York Cosmos, Pittsburgh, Chattanooga Red Wolves, Richmond, Tampa Bay, Wilmington. So I'm not going to go through every team in every league, so like, believe me, because there's just too many. In fact, you can see them for yourselves. So here we got these teams in the championship Western Conference. Again, San Diego 1904, that's a team that's like kind of real. They haven't really played yet, as far as I know. Here we got League One. All of these teams are real except for Queen City, and then Rubber City is another one of those teams that like kind of exist, but I don't really know what's going on. And the sad thing is there are actually several teams that were still a thing when I made this pack that have already like folded or disappeared off the face of the earth just since I finished this. And that's like a really sad thing about American soccer right now, is that it's like the current model without promotion and relegation is just not sustainable. So luckily we do got promotion and relegation in this pack. So here we got League One West, Alaska City. That is actually a real team, and they play in the UPSL in real life. And the name made me really mad, because it's like, why is it a state but called city? But apparently the city of Anchorage was actually going to be called Alaska City when it was founded, but they ended up calling it Anchorage, so that's where that name comes from. Brownsville just disappeared off the face of the earth. I don't know what happened to him, but I left him in anyway, and that's actually going to be one of the teams that we have in the series. It's 3 of us, and one of us is going to be playing as Brownsville. But yeah, Hawaii is a custom team. I just found this. I did not make this, but I just found this logo and I thought it looked really amazing. So I decided to make a team in Hawaii. Oakland Roots is my favorite logo in American soccer, and that also happens to be the team that I'm going to do in the series. But yeah, otherwise Yellowstone is another custom team. I did make this logo. So the reason why I threw in so many custom teams, you're going to see a lot once we get down here, especially like into the semi-pro. I did that because, excuse me, I did that because I wanted as many communities to have a team as possible. I set up a map on what's called Google My Maps, and I just plotted where every team was, and if I saw there was a big gap where there wasn't a team, I put a team there. So I just wanted to make sure that every corner of America had their own team, and that's where all the custom teams came from, because some cities, they just didn't really have any teams. Some of them just had like youth teams, and I did make some youth teams into senior teams in this game. But yeah, and sorry, I only have the logos added for League One, and then the rest that are down here are just from another pack that I downloaded. But yeah, these are the teams we got in League 2 Group A. I think they are all real. Gainesville is fake, actually. But yeah, the rest are real. And then we got Group B. Fall River is, they used to be, they're a very historic team. Oh, it does not say when they were founded, I guess not. But they were one of the first powerhouses in American soccer, like way back before the Great Depression, that era, that kind of forgotten era of American soccer. So I put them back into the game, just kind of like resurrect them and bring them back, because I thought that would be cool. But then what happened is they actually did come back in real life, so that's pretty interesting. Lawrence United is a custom team. Myrtle Beach was going to be Myrtle Beach Mutiny, but then they folded, so I just made a custom Myrtle Beach team. And then the rest are real, except for Rocket City, actually. And then Group A of the Western Conference. These are all real teams, except for, I think there's one in here. Nope, these are all real. But again, they're not necessarily in this league in real life. Bismarck is a custom team. And Magic Valley, is that? No, I don't think that's a custom team, actually. But yeah, the rest of these are all real. ASL, so that's all for the professional teams. Again, these are all the professional teams, and then ASL and below, that's the semi-pro league. So yeah, so we got here, Hiawatha is a custom team, Lexington City is a custom team. Again, there's going to be a lot more once we get down here. Sarasota City is custom, Southside is custom, Trenton, Tupelo, and Worcester are also custom. Then the Western Conference, Amarillo is custom, Cajun, Coeur d'Alene, Flagstaff, Grand Island, Navajo, and that is it. And Sioux City. Oops, my bad. And Sioux City are the custom teams in this league. So as you can see, I'm just putting teams everywhere. Like even the Navajo Nation gets a team. Everybody gets a team. You know, that's how it is. Here, these are all, and they have the Celtic logo because they have some type of partnership with Celtic. And their kits are almost identical, so that's what I did here, but then it gave them the Celtic logo as well. I don't know why, but yeah. So that's what that's about. That's not their actual logo. But then I believe all of these teams are real, except, oh no, St. John's. And yeah. Again, some of these teams, some of the real teams have actually folded in real life just since I finished. Then Group B, got all these teams, a few custom ones in there. And then this is Group A, the Western Conference of the MPSL. There's a lot of custom teams in this one. I want to say the majority of this group are custom. And then Group B, that's what's going on there. Again, a ton of custom teams. And then lastly, UPSL, the bottom tier, 7th. I actually really like this kit. This, I think, it's kind of like half and half-ish, custom and real. And then Group B of the Eastern Conference is what we got here. And then Group A of the Western Conference. There you go. And lastly, Group B, the Western Conference of UPSL. And that is it. So those are all the teams. And let's go ahead and load up this save and look at some more stuff. Alrighty, so here we are. As you can see, these are the top clubs in the country. Some of these lower league clubs have pretty high reputation. And then these are, again, the competitions. Here's a reputation of each. So here we have MLS. As you can see, the top 4 qualify for the CONCACAF Champions League. And then the bottom 4 get relegated. Now, one issue with this is that the teams that get relegated aren't necessarily going to end up in the proper conference. Like, for example, in another save that I'm doing, not on YouTube, but just for fun, Real Salt Lake got relegated into the Championship Eastern Conference, and Philadelphia got relegated into the Western Conference. So, not much I can really do about that unless I divided Major League Soccer into conferences, but then, like, most of the teams would literally never play each other unless they get drawn in the Open Cup. And I don't really want that. I'd rather just have one league with all the 22 best teams in the country all playing each other at the top. So Eastern Conference, the champion goes up automatically, and then there's a playoff between 2nd through 5th for the 2nd promotion spot, and then the bottom 2 get relegated. Same in the West, obviously. So that's how we get to the 4 promoted teams. And then League 1 is a bit harder to go up. There are no playoffs. It's just the top 2. And then the bottom 4 get relegated, so this league can be pretty grueling. This one can also be fairly difficult. There's only 3 teams that have even a chance of promotion. Obviously, first place from each group gets promoted, and then the 2nd and 3rd from each group will have a playoff, and then the winner of that gets promoted as well. However, only 1 team gets relegated because obviously a drop from a professional league to a semi-pro league is massive, and we don't want to be sending tons of teams down. So, you know, if you finish bottom of this league, you probably deserve to get relegated into the semi-pro league because there's 24 teams. ASL, so again, this is a much smaller league compared to the ones around it. We got the Eastern Conference, top team goes up, and then there's a playoff 2nd through 5th for the 2nd promotion spot. Bottom 4 get relegated though, so you got to watch out if you're slacking a bit. NPSL, this one is a bit better for the promotion contenders. The champion goes up, of course. And then there's a 2nd through 5th playoff, once again, for the 2nd spot from each group. And then 4 get relegated. UPSL Eastern Conference, the top 2 go up automatically, and then 3rd through 6th have a playoff. And nobody gets relegated, obviously, because this is the bottom of the pyramid, at least in this save. Those are the group. Those are all the leagues and the promotion and relegation between each league. All right, so let's talk the transfer window. Since these clubs are, nothing's happened yet because we're still in the first day, but these clubs, especially in MLS and to a certain extent the championship, since their reputation is so high, so much higher than it normally is, and since they have so much money, they're going to be making a lot of big name signings. There's going to be a lot of people coming over from Europe, and sometimes this happens more, like in some saves this happens more than in other saves from my experience. Sometimes there are absolutely massive signings. Usually they happen in the second, third season and so on. But other times it's just kind of more, somewhat big names, but not huge names. But for example, one time with Atlanta United, Pep Guardiola ended up as their manager. They signed Gabriel Jesus for like 160 million. Alexis Sanchez went to LA Galaxy one time, and Mourinho bounced around like 4 different MLS clubs. Whereas other times, it's been a bit more tame. Like you've had players, like Pascal Gross or something like that. Players who are kind of well known, but they're not necessarily the best in the world, coming over for pretty significant transfer fees. But yeah, so the transfer window, usually it starts to get pretty crazy once you get into the second and third season, because that's when these teams really start to get a ton of money. So watch out for that. And also I've noticed as you go on, some of the players who moved from Europe to MLS also tend to start to go into the Mexican leagues, because I also raised the reputation of the Mexican league teams because I didn't want the US to just absolutely be running away with it, especially in CONCACAF competitions and such. So you will see some players moving into the Mexican league as well that might not have normally gone there. Now, we were just talking about the prize money and money in general. So here you can see this is the prize money in MLS. You get 70 mil for winning it, 65 mil for coming second, and basically it just goes down by 5 up to here, and then it goes down by 2.5 million until you get down to 7.5 million, which is won by the 22nd place team. Now, if you get relegated, you get a 40 million parachute payment, so that should be more than enough to keep you afloat. And then in addition to that, the TV money. In MLS, teams get about 100 million in TV money over the course of the season, so that is obviously huge. So as you can see, there's a lot of money going into this league. And again, in real life, with promotion and relegation and a proper TV deal, I would not be surprised at all if this happened. I think that's totally realistic. So yeah, a lot of money in MLS, and let's look at the prize money of a few of these lower leagues as well. You get 50 million for winning the championship, because you're going to need it when you get into MLS, because I've noticed promoted teams have a very tough time staying up in MLS, because even with all of this money that they're getting, they're still at a huge disadvantage compared to the MLS teams. But another thing I noticed is that a lot of the promoted teams don't tend to spend much. Sometimes they will literally sell a few players and not spend a single dime in the transfer market and then finish bottom of the league. And it's like, well, what were you expecting? So I don't know if that's a glitch just in the game, or I don't know, but I've noticed that happening. So yeah, here's the prize money. Most teams get 10 million, which is still very reasonable for a second tier. And as you can see, I didn't talk about this in MLS, there is VAR, there's goal line technology, until you get down to a certain division. Yeah, so goal line technology ends after the championship, and I believe VAR ends after this, or it ends after League 2. And you can see the prize money there, in case you didn't see it. Here's MPSL and UPSL. So that's the deal with the money. Now let's head back into the rules one more time. So here you can see the squad registration rules. You have to have 9 players who are homegrown for 3 years between their 15th and 21st birthdays. Maximum team size of 25 players, and then those are the registration windows. So just something to keep in mind. Got to make sure you're developing some of that American talent. Got to have at least 9 players. Don't necessarily have to be American, but they have to be trained in the US for 3 years between their 15th and 21st birthdays. It is the same situation in the championship, same in the League 1. However, it's 12 in League 2, but your squad size is 5 spaces larger. So technically it's a smaller chunk of your team that needs to be homegrown, but it still is significant. You got to have 12 homegrown players. ASL, it's still a team size of 30, but it has to be 15 that are homegrown. same in NPSL, and same in UPSL. Another thing I wanted to address is attendance. So I'm actually just going to skip forward a little bit. 1, so we can see some of the transfers, and 2, so we can see the attendance, because I did tweak that a little bit. I made it significantly higher for every team. So I simulated up to October 1st, and these are all the transfers that happened. Now, these top 2 are ones that actually happened in real life, and I just added them into the game. I'm not sure why the fee is what it is. I don't think that's what it actually was, but I did have set them up with pre-arranged transfers right at the start of the season to go ahead and move to these clubs, because they did in real life. Same with Pity Martinez, a couple others. However, most of these are transfers that just happened. Now, this is a bit tame for a transfer window, but again, it tends to really pick up in the second season, because again, these teams don't have huge amounts of money yet, but they will next season after the prize money kicks in and after the TV money kicks in. Now, another reason why I simmed the stadium attendance. That's what I was telling you guys about before. So let's have a look at MLS attendance so far. Did I miss it? No, I didn't. There we go. So here's the current highest attendance. You got Atlanta United, of course, Inter Miami's up there, Seattle, Cincinnati, New York, Minnesota, New England, Orlando. Pretty solid attendance across the board. I won't go through the whole thing, but as you can see, that's kind of the attendance that you got. So hey, that might be some extra cash. I don't know why I went to my inbox. Might be some extra cash for you if you're a club with high attendance. Get some more money from gate receipts. So what this is, in real life, the Supporters Shield is the team in MLS that would have normally won the title in any other league. So they finish top of the league on points. They get the Supporters Shield. But obviously that's how MLS is just by default. In this save, there are no playoffs or anything. So I decided to change it to a Super Cup. So it is the winner of MLS against the winner of the US Open Cup. Or if the same team wins both, then it is first place versus second place in MLS. So this is the Super Cup. That's what that is. Let's go ahead and simulate to the end of the US Open Cup, and I will explain that for you guys. Here's what happens. In the first round, well, first there's the first qualifying round, which is made up of teams from the lower leagues. And then if you win that, you get 30K. If you lose, you still get 15K. And here's the rule in every round. You can't have any more than 10 foreign players, and it goes to extra time and then eventually penalties if necessary. And you get 3 subs from 9 on the bench and an additional sub in extra time. There's VAR if it's a televised game, and the usual. So if you win in the first qualifying round, again, this is only for lower league teams, you go into the first round. The first round includes the winners of the qualifying round, obviously, plus every other team in the professional leagues. So yeah, as you can see, 256 teams in this round. That's a lot. And then when you win that, get to the second round, third round, fourth round, fifth round, quarterfinal, semifinal, and final. And the prize money, as you can see, goes up as you go. And I don't know why it says this 4 times, but if you win the US Open Cup, then you qualify for the CONCACAF Champions League. So that's the US Open Cup. Changed it a little bit from how it is in real life, but still for the most part, just, you know, your standard domestic cup. And that is all I have. If you have any additional questions, do not hesitate to let me know in the comment section and I will help you out. This is on Steam. There's a link in the description. If you like what you see, make sure to get it and just show your support. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, that is the pack. So stay tuned. I've already uploaded the first episode, but stay tuned for the series that I'm doing with this pack with a couple of friends. And yeah, I'm really pumped. I will see you guys very soon. I hope you enjoyed this pack. Again, link in the description to the Steam page if you want to download it. And I'll see you all very soon.